What if your home could tell a story, not with expensive decor, but with pieces you've shaped with your own hands? Today, we're unlocking the quiet magic of DIY interiors, warm gingham curtains, braided rugs, and upcycled touches that turn everyday spaces into something unforgettable. This is Home Crafted, where we believe beauty lives in the details you create yourself. You'll find timestamps below to jump straight to what you need, and if a question sparks in your mind, the comments are always open. If you love what you see, take the idea, make it your own, and let it bloom with whatever you have right now. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen, but behind this, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, they matter more than you know. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just helping a channel grow. You're helping a dream breathe. You're giving hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for truly seeing me. In the quiet glow of a sunny afternoon, imagine stepping into a garden where creativity has no rules. Here, old tires no longer lie forgotten in dusty corners. They've been reborn as whimsical sculptures that brighten every corner of the yard. Their shapes twist and curve like something from a dream, painted in colors that make you pause, smile, and want to linger just a little longer. The magic of upcycling is that it turns what was once ordinary into something extraordinary. A single tire, cut and layered, can bloom into a lotus-shaped flower bed. A coil of them, painted in deep emerald and sunny yellow, can become a playful garden snake winding between your plants. And the beauty is, you don't need fancy tools or a workshop to start. Just a bit of imagination, some outdoor paint, and a free weekend can transform the way your garden feels. If you try this yourself, choose colors that make your heart feel light. Maybe gentle pastels for a cottage garden or bold jewel tones for a modern touch. Position your sculptures where the sunlight can catch them in the early morning or just before dusk, when shadows make their shapes come alive. And don't be afraid to mix them with other garden elements. A rustic wooden bench beside a tire flower planter, or creeping ivy curling up a tire sculpture's edge. Upcycled tire art isn't just decoration, it's a conversation starter, a small act of sustainability, and a daily reminder that beauty often comes from the most unexpected places. Step into your backyard, look around, and you might just see your next masterpiece hiding in plain sight. Under a soft afternoon light, the garden feels alive with shapes and colors that once belonged to something entirely different. Old tires, with their quiet histories, have been transformed into playful sculptures that seem to carry a touch of magic. They curve, stack, and bloom like living art, painted in shades that dance against the greenery, rich blues, sunflower yellows, and soft lavender, each one catching the eye in a different way. Creating them is as much about feeling as it is about design. Begin by choosing tires with interesting shapes or sizes, then clean them well so the paint can cling beautifully. A sturdy outdoor paint will keep the colors vivid through sun and rain. You can cut and layer them to create forms, a gentle spiral for a whimsical garden creature, petals for a tire flower, or a rounded mound that becomes a home for cascading blooms. Placement is part of the poetry. Set your creations where light changes their mood, perhaps in a sunny patch that glows at midday, or near a shaded corner where they surprise the eye. You can weave them into your planting, allowing vines or herbs to spill over their edges, softening the lines while keeping their playful spirit intact. There's something grounding about working with your hands, turning what was once worn and forgotten into a small piece of joy for your space. In the rustle of leaves and the scent of fresh soil, you'll find that upcycled tire art is more than decor. It's an invitation to slow down, to see beauty in the overlooked, and to let your garden tell a story no one else can. In the heart of every farmhouse kitchen lies a story of renewal, and sometimes it begins with nothing more than a can of paint and a patient hand. Picture cabinets once dulled by years of use, now dressed in soft of gray or the gentle warmth of antique white. The light from the window catches the matte finish, making the colors breathe life into every corner of the room. Painting your cabinets is one of the simplest ways to transform a space without replacing a single unit. The secret is in the preparation, a careful sanding to smooth out imperfections, a primer that ensures the paint will cling, and the patience to let each coat dry fully. Choosing the right shade is where personality shines. Muted sage for a hint of countryside calm, warm white for a clean and airy feel, or a pale gray that pairs effortlessly with natural wood. Hardware plays the role of quiet jewelry. Black iron poles give a timeless strength, while brushed brass offers a softer, vintage gleam. And don't be afraid to leave a touch of imperfection. A faint brush stroke or a slight distress along the edges can make your cabinets feel lived in and loved, rather than brand new and distant. In the end, this is about more than a kitchen facelift. It's about crafting a room that welcomes you in the morning with the scent of fresh coffee and feels just as comforting when the evening light turns the walls golden. With a little time and care, you'll have a kitchen that feels personal, warm, and entirely your own. In a well-loved farmhouse kitchen, sometimes the smallest details speak the loudest. A simple drawer pull, aged just enough to catch the morning sun, can tell a story of countless meals prepared and shared. The cool touch of bronze, the sturdy curve of iron, these are more than just hardware. They're the quiet anchors of daily life. Choosing vintage-inspired hardware is like selecting jewelry for your cabinets. A matte black cup pull can add a refined edge to soft cream doors, while aged bronze handles bring a sense of history to freshly painted dove gray drawers. Wrought iron pulls, especially against the warmth of a reclaimed wood countertop, feel sturdy and grounded, as if they've been there for generations. Swapping out your hardware is one of the most affordable and instantly gratifying updates you can make. It doesn't require a full renovation, just a screwdriver, a thoughtful choice of style, and perhaps a free afternoon. Pair the finish with other elements in your kitchen: black iron echoing light fixtures, brass tying in with faucets, for a look that feels intentional and harmonious. In the end, it's these tactile details that make your kitchen feel like home. They're the handles you reach for every morning without thinking, the ones your guests notice when they help set the table. Small, yes, but often, it's the smallest things that leave the longest impression. Sunlight drapes itself over the shelves, tracing the grain of wood that has lived another life before finding its place here. These open shelves, cut from reclaimed timber, are more than storage, they are a gallery of daily life. Glass jars hold pantry staples like quiet treasures, mugs hang in a simple row ready for morning coffee, and a small vase of herbs adds a breath of freshness to the air. Reclaimed wood carries a charm no factory finish can match. The soft weathering, the tiny imperfections, and the richness of tone bring warmth to even the simplest arrangements. The joy of open shelving is how it lets your kitchen evolve with the seasons. In spring, fresh flowers and pastel ceramics might take center stage. Autumn could bring gourds, dried corn, and earthy pottery. And in between, the shelves can hold the quiet constancy of everyday bowls, plates, and mugs. If you're thinking of adding open shelves yourself, look for wood with character, perhaps salvaged from an old barn or a local market. Make sure they are solidly anchored to hold the weight of jars and dishes, and don't be afraid to mix practical storage with pieces that simply make you smile. A handmade mug, a family recipe written on faded paper, or a sprig of rosemary in a small vase can turn utility into art. In the soft glow of afternoon, these shelves become more than a backdrop. They are part of the story your kitchen tells, one of warmth, welcome, and a quiet pride in the beauty of everyday living. Imagine stepping into a kitchen where every surface quietly tells a story. The morning sun slips through the window, gliding over creamy white cabinets and a backsplash so fresh it feels like a breath of air. These aren't expensive ceramic tiles, they're clever peel-and-stick subway panels, capturing light with a glossy sheen that makes the whole space feel more open. It's the kind of transformation that takes an afternoon, yet rewards you for years. There's a special charm in their simplicity. The crisp lines bring order, while the vintage undertone pairs effortlessly with warm wood boards, terracotta pots, or a bowl of bright lemons on the counter. It's proof that beauty doesn't need a heavy budget, only a touch of thoughtfulness and the courage to try something new. For those who rent or simply want to avoid the mess of a full renovation, peel-and-stick tiles are a gift. You can lay them in neat rows for that timeless cafe-style look, or offset them for a more relaxed, rustic feel. If you want to make them feel even more authentic, a thin bead of grout-colored caulk can mimic the depth of real ceramic, fooling even the sharpest eye. What's most inviting, though, is how they invite personality. Pair them with reclaimed shelves heavy with glass jars of grains, a cluster of vintage mugs, or seasonal decor that shifts with the months. Suddenly, the backsplash isn't just a surface, it's the frame for your kitchen's daily rhythm. And perhaps that's the real magic here, the reminder that small changes, chosen with care, can turn an ordinary wall into the warm heart of a home. There's a certain charm in kitchens that feel alive, not because they are filled with gadgets, but because they are shaped by hands, by moments, by the quiet art of making a space your own. Here, the countertop tells that story. A warm wood grain laminate stretches out like a golden field in late summer, catching the soft morning light and turning even the simplest meal prep into something beautiful. You don't need an artisan's workshop or a sky-high budget to create this feeling. Laminate and peel-and-stick solutions can transform a tired surface in a single weekend, offering the texture of reclaimed oak or the elegance of cool concrete without the weight, cost, or mess. The secret is choosing tones that echo your home's personality, perhaps a honeyed wood for warmth, or a matte gray for modern calm. Imagine the joy of chopping fresh herbs from the window ledge, the gentle scrape of a bread knife against a sturdy new surface, the aroma of coffee rising in the corner where your woven baskets hold fruit and memories alike. With each touch, your kitchen becomes less of a room and more of a refuge. And here's the beauty, these materials are forgiving. A spill, a scratch, a busy family dinner. The surface stands up to it all, still inviting, still ready for tomorrow. In that way, it's not just a countertop makeover. It's a quiet promise that good things, when cared for, last. Imagine walking into a kitchen where every surface, every corner, tells a story, not of showroom perfection, but of life, of hands that have cooked, shared, and savored. The sunlight brushes across the room, catching the gentle curve of a chipped enamel teapot, its white paint wearing away in places like laugh lines on a beloved face. Next to it, old glass jars hold flour and sugar, the lettering slightly raised, their contents ready for the next loaf of bread or sweet pie. On the table nearby, mismatched plates sit in quiet harmony, each one a survivor from different flea market hunts. The vintage bread tin stands proudly, its letters bold and unapologetic, while daisies, freshly picked and joyfully simple, spill from an old milk jug, their faces turned toward the light. And in the corner, a wooden crate, once forgotten, perhaps used to haul fruit decades ago, now cradles a bounty of vegetables. Crisp lettuce, sun-warmed tomatoes, and eggplants with skins so glossy they almost reflect the ticking of the antique clock above. The clock's steady rhythm feels like the heartbeat of the room, uniting past and present in a quiet pulse. This, too, can be your home story. You don't need perfection or expensive design. You need eyes that see beauty in the imperfect, and hands willing to give old objects a second life. That worn teapot could be your new herb planter. The crate could be sanded, oiled, and turned into a mobile garden box. Even the simplest plate, found at the corner of a flea market table, could be the one that frames tomorrow's memories. Rustic charm isn't bought, it's gathered, one meaningful piece at a time. And when you choose to decorate this way, you're not just styling a kitchen. You're preserving stories, layering them into your everyday life, and letting them live on with every meal you prepare. Imagine starting in spring, sunlight spilling across your kitchen shelf, where a simple jar of tulips stands tall beside neatly folded pastel tea towels. A bowl of lemons catches the light, their citrus scent mingling with the crisp air drifting in through an open window. Here, every detail whispers renewal, an invitation to freshen not just your home, but your spirit. Then comes autumn, carrying the warmth of golden afternoons. On a rustic table, a wooden tray cradles a small harvest of pumpkins. Cinnamon sticks are scattered like forgotten treasures, and a plaid runner pulls the colors together in a quiet harmony. It's a gentle reminder that beauty doesn't have to be complex. Sometimes, it's as simple as arranging what nature already gives in abundance. And in winter, The world outside hushes under a blanket of snow. A white enamel teapot sits patiently beside a jar of dried orange slices, while a small candle flickers near pine cones and evergreen sprigs. The scent of citrus and pine fills the air, and suddenly the season feels less about cold, more about comfort. The charm of rotating seasonal decor isn't just aesthetic, it's sustainable. Reuse the same foundational pieces, then refresh them with thrifted finds, natural elements, or handmade accents. You don't need to buy new for every season. Instead, let your creativity work with what you already have. Dried florals, reclaimed wood trays, and jars you've upcycled can become timeless companions in your styling journey. Your home can change with the seasons without losing its soul, and in that rhythm, you'll find a kind of beauty that lingers long after the decorations are put away. In a world where creativity meets sustainability, there's something enchanting about giving old materials a second life. Imagine stepping into a cozy kitchen or dining nook, where the lighting doesn't just brighten the room, it tells a story. These vintage-inspired fixtures, whether crafted from black metal pendants, reclaimed wood beams, or even upcycled mason jars, feel like they've been pulled from a place where time slows down. That same spirit is what makes upcycled tire art so captivating in the garden. Just as a mason jar becomes a glowing pendant light, a discarded tire can become something whimsical and alive. Picture sculpting a cluster of tires into a towering flower, painting it in bold colors that resist the sun's fade, or stacking and cutting them into playful animal shapes that watch over your plants. The transformation isn't just visual, it's emotional. You take something forgotten, and with your own hands, make it part of your daily joy. The secret lies in the details. Just as a warm kitchen glow depends on the right bulb and shade, your tire sculpture thrives on the right paint, weatherproofing, and placement. Use bright, non-toxic outdoor paints for a cheerful effect, or deep earthy tones for a calming corner. Add trailing plants or succulents into the hollow spaces for a living sculpture that changes with the seasons. There's a simple, grounding satisfaction in walking through a garden and knowing each quirky, beautiful piece was born from your imagination and saved from the landfill. Much like the soft light over a rustic table, these sculptures invite people to pause, smile, and linger a little longer. Imagine walking into a garden that greets you with playful shapes, colors, and textures, yet every piece was once a forgotten tire. This is where upcycling becomes more than a hobby. It's a statement of care for the earth, and a joyful expression of creativity. Just as a farmhouse kitchen sink transforms simple washing into a serene ritual, these funky tire sculptures turn an ordinary yard into an artful sanctuary. Picture a row of repurposed tires stacked and cut into curling petals, painted in shades that echo summer flowers. Or envision a coiled tire snake winding along a garden border, its scales hand-painted with cheerful patterns, a friendly guardian for your herbs and blooms. The beauty lies in the process. Old tires, once destined for the landfill, can be softened by soaking in soapy water, making them easier to cut and shape. A good pair of shears, a splash of exterior grade paint, and a free afternoon are all you need to begin. You can hang them as vertical planters, shape them into animal forms, or create whimsical seating for children, each idea adding a story to your space. Like sunlight streaming over a kitchen counter, these sculptures catch the eye and lift the mood. And the best part? Every piece you make is uniquely yours, carrying the marks of your hands and imagination. Start with one tire, one idea, and let it grow until your garden feels less like a patch of land, and more like a living gallery of second chances. Imagine stepping into a kitchen where the floor tells a story. Sunlight slips gently through the window, tracing the grain of planks that seem to have lived another life, weathered oak tones mingling with warm honey and soft grays. At first glance, you'd think they were reclaimed wood from an old countryside barn. But here's the secret: they're vinyl. Practical, resilient, and far easier to care for than their timber twin, yet they carry the same rustic charm. The beauty of reclaimed look vinyl is not just in its style, but in how it frees you from the worry of water stains, warping, or endless polishing. Spills wipe away in seconds, and muddy footprints from a busy garden day are gone with a single sweep. This means you can keep the heart of your home warm and welcoming without the upkeep of real wood. For those who love the idea of creating an entire farmhouse feel, think about how these floors can be the anchor. Pair them with white cabinetry and open shelving for a fresh, airy look, or set them beneath a chunky wooden dining table to draw out the rustic soul of the space. Even a simple jute rug or woven mat will add texture, grounding the room in natural tones. If you're looking for inspiration, you might start by choosing a plank color that ties in with other elements you love, perhaps the golden edges of your cutting boards, the soft green of your window herbs, or the brushed metal of your sink fittings. That way, every detail feels part of the same gentle, timeless story. And here's the magic. Just like upcycled garden sculptures breathe new life into discarded tires, these floors give a modern twist to something vintage in spirit. A home doesn't need to be fragile to be beautiful. It can be strong, easy to care for, and still make you pause, just to appreciate the morning light dancing across it. Imagine stepping into a space where every wall tells a story, not with paintings or photographs, but with the everyday objects that give life to a kitchen. Sunlight filters in through a nearby window, catching the warm gleam of copper pans and the soft mat of enamel mugs. These are not just tools, but little works of art, thoughtfully displayed rather than hidden away. Upcycled vertical storage, like the ones you see here, turns function into beauty. A reclaimed wood plank becomes a home for cheerful mugs in mismatched colors, their handles hooked neatly in a row. Below, bundles of rosemary, oregano, and lavender hang to dry naturally, filling the air with a subtle, earthy perfume. It's a reminder that storage doesn't need to be sterile. It can be alive, fragrant, and deeply personal. A sturdy iron rack holds pans with the kind of patina you can't fake, their surfaces telling tales of countless family meals. Underneath, woven baskets cradle onions and garlic, each braid and weave a testament to handcraft and patience. The setup not only saves precious counter space but invites you to cook with ease. Everything you need is within arm's reach, and yet beautifully curated. If you wish to create something similar in your own home, start small. Find a piece of salvaged wood, some hooks, and let your creativity guide the arrangement. Don't be afraid to mix materials. Metal, wicker, and wood bring layers of texture and warmth. The key is to think of your kitchen not just as a place to prepare food, but as a living canvas where utility and beauty can exist side by side. And the magic is this: every time you reach for a mug or pluck a sprig of thyme, you're not just cooking. You're part of a quiet ritual, one that celebrates resourcefulness, memory, and the comfort of a well-loved home. quiet glow of a farmhouse kitchen, every piece of furniture whispers a story. Not all heroes are new. Some are rescued, reimagined, and given a second life. Here, an old wooden dresser, once tucked away in a dusty corner, now stands proud as the heart of the kitchen. Its deep drawers hold neatly folded linens and utensils, ready at a moment's notice. The time-worn top, polished by years of use, has become a generous prep space, perfect for slicing crisp peppers, serving morning tea, or kneading bread dough on a lazy Sunday. You can almost hear the gentle hum of the kettle in the background. Against the wall, a vintage hutch has transformed into a charming pantry. Rows of glass jars stand like sentinels, filled with flour, sugar, pasta, and grains, a quiet, beautiful reminder of self-sufficiency. The softly distressed paint tells of decades gone by, yet its purpose feels fresh, even modern. With each jar labeled and within easy reach, cooking becomes an act of grace, not chaos. And in a sunlit corner, another repurposed dresser offers a stage for freshly baked bread, still warm and fragrant. A wicker basket cradles loaves with rustic crusts, their floury dusting catching the light. The brass handles gleam softly, hinting at the dresser's former elegance, now intertwined with its new role in daily life. Turning old furniture into functional kitchen treasures isn't just about saving space or money, it's about crafting a home with soul. When you give a piece a new purpose, you weave your own chapter into its history. And the beauty is, you don't need to be a master carpenter to start. A little sanding, a fresh coat of paint, and a touch of imagination can turn forgotten furniture into the most loved part of your home. Every repurposed piece becomes a conversation starter, a reflection of your creativity, and a gentle nod to sustainable living. And perhaps, just perhaps, you'll find that cooking feels warmer, bread tastes sweeter, and mornings arrive a little slower in a kitchen built not from catalogs, but from stories. Imagine stepping into a garden where the charm of the farmhouse spills into the open air, where the warmth of gingham curtains and the texture of braided rugs inspire an outdoor world shaped by your own hands. Now, picture taking that same sense of comfort and infusing it into something unexpected. Sculptures made from old, weathered tires, reborn into playful, soulful garden art. The sunlight hits them just right, revealing the way rubber can curve like petals, spiral like vines, or stack into whimsical creatures. Just as a gingham curtain softens a window, a coat of cheerful paint transforms a tire's rugged surface into something tender and inviting. There's poetry in this act, giving what was once worn out a place of pride again. To begin, choose tires with character. Maybe a bit of scuff tells its own quiet story. Wash them well, then let your creativity take over. Stack them to form tiered planters, slice them into flowing shapes, or paint them in patterns that remind you of picnic cloths and sunlit kitchens. Pair them with braided jute or coir mats as bases, giving each piece a grounded, textural stage. Don't be afraid to weave in natural accents, trailing ivy, bursts of marigolds, or even dried herbs that catch the breeze. Think of it as setting a table for the outdoors, where every detail, from the rustic feel of rope to the crisp lines of a checkered pattern, adds to the welcome. And perhaps the best part? Every sculpture you make becomes a gentle conversation between past and present. A tire that once raced on highways now sits beneath the sky, holding life instead of wear. In that moment, your garden isn't just a place of beauty, it's a living memory stitched together with patience, resourcefulness, and joy. Would you like me to now create a softer, slower-spoken version of this narration so it feels perfect for a calming garden DIY video? That way, the flow will feel even more like a gentle afternoon stroll through the scene.